which skulls were taken. We were presently devoured, our joy very great, everyone esteeming us undoubtedly happy, that we might procure them this bliss. What delight then to see skeletons scattered up and down the fields. Oscillations. There is first the attraction, then the space between them, across that the urges. They collide, they recoil, they oscillate. There is a change of form, of motion, but no real loss. This is not heat, not force, but when they strike it is translation, conversion to vibration, which is heat, until their heat becomes radiant. All this at the instant of collision, this transference from body through liquid, this luminous stream, attraction in one as indestructible as in the other, we might burn, ever heated. Here the force of impact has created no new attraction, but the old has a certain pull between the falling and their own perfect elasticity. They believed in absolute destruction, oscillating from tension to collision, from collision to tension. This, then, is the play of bodies already in motion. Wheels within wheels, rhythm within rhythm. The sense of feeling implies contact with the body of something. Depends on movements of the air. This vibratory motion implies that we exists, however distant. Whenever one surface is moved in contact with another, there is a resistance called friction. The moving loses its rate of motion, and we move out to rest. It is implied in this that we do not occupy all available space, that we may have varying degrees of closeness, that we may be discontinuous. An account from which skulls were taken. I saw the implements of warfare, our hair and faces smeared with grease and wood ash. The wood remained, gashes resembling a sheared pelt, the house burned down, the place abandoned, our custom, moronic in the breach and observance. Oscillations. We speak of attraction or repulsion, possess a power of motion, which would realize itself if all hindrances were removed. We have had pulls and tensions, and might have had the force of heat, but we are two utterly distinct things. I have tried this to clear confusion, fixing the mind on things rather than on names, but names are essential. It is actual, and we agree to call it that. If we were raised to incandescence, passing through all stages of non-luminous, our darkness might be defined as ether at rest, our light as ether in motion. Here waves issuing from uncounted centers cross, collide, oppose and pass through each other without confusion or ultimate extinction. The intolerable experienced, this incessant dissolution, we reduce ourselves to the acceptance of motion. An account from which skulls were taken. To preserve us this peril, a fire was kept, and friends howled around it to scare away demons. Better to have tied our bodies with rope, passed the ladder around neck and under knees, drawn up tight until we doubled with little ceremony or grief. The fight, the motion, the lifting of one's own body, the agent which tears atoms asunder. If at that instant we were annihilated, and our attraction annulled, weight would continue. Funnels melted like ghost-like film. Both perfection and decay, these motions beautiful and grotesque. This then is the principle. A hand ceases to break, where breaking becomes a mechanical impossibility. Endless, beautiful, exact. Paradise is here. On a beach of bones, a bell fracturing air. This is no document of barbarism. Of body, blood, and glowing flesh, it shined too bright for too long. It is seeking resonance, the broken things, falling sunflowers, the fractured pipe, strands of her hair about to break into ash. It is the air of atrocity, a kind of garden like a flat sea, cities burn behind us, thin with the need to escape. Maybe it was a mistake. I can taste the blood still. Aurora, Oblivion gone, and left all again as smooth as scythe, this flesh and devil, dark question slaughtered, broken bare, such bloody splendor, poured deep, drinking blackness into vaulted air. Here where it ends, a bloodstain whispered, a chant for midsummer, when flame fell silently from cloud to cloud. What possible sphere of pure life? After fevers notched here and there with knives, life struck sharp, this passage of delirium, this awful lightning, like one in anger drawing back her skirts, a blind ferocity, a glare unnatural. All new and strange, this world turned stranger, these lips all weary and wormy with need. I wept aloud, then laughed, then wept, and someone near me said the child was mad. Fallen stone lies, what were figure and substance, their splash a steel sleet breaking to dust, born of a certain spectacle, so universal in its plague, Rome's first commotion breathes musk from lace work and brocade. A waxlight where tongues of flame spire and spit, never sign nor sound of interference should have been counted as sin. That is all history, and what is not now was then, rough raw and claiming privilege. I used to get up early, to sit and watch the morning quicken to glory, still as when frost breathes, a palimpsest, a shadow erased on a charnel wall. I would forget myself, plunge headlong into beauty and salt, the rhythmic turbulence of blood and brain, wicked as the mouths of godheads, edged like angels each night that strikes, a scarlet thread, some apocryphal winged voice in the restless heat of doing something. Skin for skin, we turn, twist, bring all to buckle in one bond. That cold black score, a scramble pipe screaming in the heights of the head, an enthusiastic fit struck into drops like horrible worms. Like small separate sympathies, they bear blow after blow as if such burdens were too light. And we, black-hatted and hooded, take our stations in the doubtful dawn. Loved or love, we scarce distinguish. And so I poured myself along the veins of others, a violent flood, an answer for the dead. What dangerous things to carry through all the spilt of the world. We will live, Aurora. We will be strong. The dogs are on us, but we will not die. I think I'll read a bit from the other book. So just quickly, this is from War Rug. It's a book-length documentary poem that I wrote over the course of a year and a half back in 2007. And it deals with the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. It's quite long, so I'm only going to read an excerpt, but it uses a mix of my own lyric, documentary source material from autopsy reports to death notices from the Department of Defense to reports from various humanitarian organizations. So, War Rug. Flash. A body reduced to beads of glass, fused in sand at the blast point's edge. Filigree. The lace of an exposed cheek over tooth and jaw, impossibly white. Pause, the space between light and the rush of sound that crushes breath from Kevlar and rib. A moment of clarity, before the market erupts, before the Humvee pitches and drops to its side. After image. A thickening of scar tissue, the absence of expression, of an eardrum, of an iris. Definitions. Enucleation. Complete surgical removal of the eyeball. Evisceration. Surgical removal of the contents of the eyeball with retention of the sclera or cornea and sclera. Extenuation. Surgical removal of all the eyeball contents, which may include the removal of the eyelids. Ocular prosthesis. A plastic or glass fabricated eye that replaces the volume of the enucleated eye socket. It begins with a photograph and a rug, that so much can be woven into both. One dyed in wool, the other scar tissue against the undisturbed surface of her hand. She is in white, he a dress uniform, three-quarter view, the eye facing the camera's glass. The rug is tribal, meant for prayer. It is one of the few things I kept. They say the weaving of bombs into its borders, machine guns and tanks began during the Russian occupation. Now the images are planes en route, buildings on fire, the flag, American. How do you move 1,000 pounds of concrete? Separate bodies from debris, twisted as steel barred the exposed edge of a wound. In the expansive aftermath, broken pieces, a uniform shade of red. How do you know you're wrong? How do you reconcile that the hand held is no longer attached? Phantom pain is the body missing limb, not the reverse. That you still wake in your clothing, between adrenaline and exhaustion, that the year begins as it ended, will end as it began. The t-shirt reads, kill them all, let God sort them out. Skull on black cotton, XXL. They say 20,000 to 100,000 were killed, the exact number in dispute. What makes this a crusade? What number a massacre? In 1209 AD, Crusaders asked how to tell Catholics from heretics. Their response, from the Latin, kill them all. God, one of his own. Image. Relatives of the victims with corpses outside Baghdad's Al-Kindi hospital. Emergency condition responses. Code green, cut hand, scrape, broken arm, nausea and headache. Code yellow, decreased level of consciousness, chest pain, unconsciousness for unknown reason, loss of feeling, / motor skills in an extremity. Code red, penetrating trauma to the torso, severe loss of blood, severe head injury and chest pain followed by unconsciousness. Code blue, no breathing, no heartbeat. Code black, rigor mortis, post-mortem morbidity, decapitation, decomposition, etc. Black, the ash from a burning car, the color of lung tissue, of sutures, dried blood where glass made ribbons of skin. It is what deepens over rib cage, tells of fracture, of the grind of bone against bone. It is a body wrapped in cellophane, packed in ice, the bag in which it is zippered. The color of digging to the height of a man, of clawing one's face, that of soil held tightly in hand. Cartridge, 7.2 millimeter armor piercing. Used in rifles and machine guns against personnel in light armor or unarmored targets. Hollow cinder block, both sides of a car body, internal walls, partitions, plaster, floors, ceilings, office furniture, home appliances, and bedding can be easily penetrated. Thank you.